Hey, Mrs. McLean. So I just reread through your prompt on Facebook, and this could be really extensive in terms of like what I talk about, but um, I'll just give a brief, or as brief as I can, um, overview of my like philosophy and how I apply it to my own life, and you can take from it what you want. Um, I agree that kids my age are portrayed lazily. We kind of have like a bad rap, and I think that's unfair. But for kids my age, I think there has to be a degree of intentionality in their life. So um, before I started doing what I was doing or am doing, I intentionally made a decision to change the world, like said it out loud. I'm going to change the world. And um, that's like a big step for people to do. Speak it out loud means like it's real. You speak it into the world, you speak it into existence. It's no longer a thought. You can't push it to the back of your mind. You've made a conscious decision to change the world. What that means for me is um, taking a personal situation and positively spinning that to impact people so that they can learn from my situation and then not have to go through it. So the basic story is in 2008, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. Upon diagnosis, she did extensive research on her specific type of cancer and found little to no literature online. So instead of focusing her energy on organizations that don't focus on what she has, she decided to create her own fund called the Lucy Fund in honor of her name. The focus of the fund is to raise money for metastatic cancer research. And so she partnered with a larger organization called the National Foundation for Cancer Research, which focuses primarily on funding research. Um, on the scale of cancer organizations, the National Foundation for Cancer Research, or NFCR, is relatively small. Last year, they brought in around $14 million. Compare that to the American Cancer Society, who brought in $1 billion last year. You can kind of see where they fall. Um, Once she found the National Foundation for Cancer Research, they got her in touch with a researcher named Danny Welch, who does research in Kansas. He works at the Kansas research facility, and he's one of the top metastatic cancer researchers in the world. Um, he's a great guy. I've met him a few times. He's very personable. So all the money, every single penny that the Lucy Fund raises goes towards Danny Welch's research. The big discrepancy that my mom ran into is 90% of all people who die from cancer die because it metastasizes. And a lot of people don't really know the biological kind of way that cancer kills people. So, that might partly be because like the word's hard to describe or say, let alone spell. So metastasize isn't a type of cancer. It's simply a verb that describes what the cancer is doing in the body. So if the cancer is metastasized, it simply means it's moved to vital organs of the body, which is not good. So 90% of all people who die, the number is like 575,500 people every year on average die from cancer. 90% of all those people die because cancer moves. Now, cancer as an entity brings in about $6 billion per year in fundraising. Of that $6 billion, about less than 5% of all that money is donated specifically to metastatic research. So there's this huge discrepancy between what kills people and what we're funding. A lot of the larger organizations fund prevention, which is important, but the back end, or people who have late stage cancer, they feel as though they're lost causes. They don't get a lot of money funneled in their direction because, number one, our society doesn't like to talk about death or things that are negative. So they kind of shuffle them underneath the rug so that we don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation about people who have to possibly pass away. Instead, we want to focus on the cure. We want to focus on prevention, people who don't have cancer. And while that is good in some sense, we need to facilitate an environment that has the ability to foster these conversations. Because if these conversations aren't had, then these men and women who die because cancer moves won't have a voice. When my mom passed away in the summer of 2012, a week before I left for college, my freshman year, I did not have any idea what I wanted to do when I left for school. I was in an incredible emotional whirlwind between leaving my family, leaving my home, and going into a completely new environment. And on top of that, I didn't have a direction. I came into school undeclared. But the spring semester of my freshman year, this thing called the Lucy Fund, which was kind of falling into the depths of fire or something, like it just wasn't going to exist anymore, kind of fell into my lap. And since then, I've decided to make that my passion. And so we have started creating events on college campuses that, they're called Party for Lives. And these events are aimed to educate college people about metastatic cancer and get them involved. So I found out that a lot of college students are really eager to back causes. We have a lot of energy. We have more time than people think we do to back causes. But a lot of times, students aren't given causes to back. So I have solicited a lot of people on my college campus to help me and to get involved with what I'm trying to do. And the response has been unparalleled. I could not have asked for a better turnout a few weeks at my school's first ever Party for Life. So that's really cool. But in terms of a larger picture, what I've learned through this whole process is, like I said earlier, you have to be intentional. You have to want to change the world. And we all have a capacity to change the world in some way, shape, or form. Some of us are just scared to spread our proverbial light and allow it to reach a height that we can't prepare for. And while it is scary, and while you may fall short of your original goal, the path and journey that you take to change the world will inevitably change it in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's really important. Just a quick story about, my age group doing wonderful things. I had the opportunity to go out to Penn State in late February to attend Thon, which a lot of people are familiar with. It's quite popular, especially in Pennsylvania and Penn State. It raises money for pediatric cancer. And these kids at Penn State stand for 46 hours. They nominate dancers, and they stand for 46 hours straight, no sleep, in honor of these children who fight cancer and to raise money for the cause. So I got the opportunity to go out with Katie Forte and experience this event. And what I learned was a lot of people, Penn State is this huge school. And there's a lot of partying associated with it. If you look up like the top party schools, I'm sure Penn State's like in the top 20 or in the top 10. But on those two nights, I stood with people I had no idea who they were, and I stood next to them for a cause. And for the last 4 hours of the event, it gets emotional. They have people come out and tell their stories, like families and stuff about their children and the battle that they're going through. There's a video montage of people who just got diagnosed this year, a video montage of people who we've lost in the recent year. And so while this whole thing is going on, I'm kind of reflecting on my own life and kind of, where I'm at and my journey with cancer. And so this video montage comes on of people who have passed away. And everybody in the stadium, there's 16,000 people. Everybody in the stadium immediately locks shoulders with each other. So I'm standing in the middle of two people who I have just met a day ago. And I have my arms around their shoulders, and we start swaying back and forth as we watch this video montage. Everybody's crying. And the reason that I was crying was not because, we were seeing these children who had tragically had their lives stolen from them due to cancer. And that is incredibly terrible. But the reason I was crying was because you look across the sea of color and people and bodies and just humanity, and you see everybody who's probably under the age of 22 at this place, gathered in this one place, and everybody is just swaying and crying and being vulnerable. And it was just so powerful to me, to see, I just wish I could have taken a picture and sent it to everybody who says, this generation is entitled or lazy or anything, or not capable of doing great things, and say, look at this. We raised $13 million for pediatric cancer research, but the number or the experience that we had transcends the number amount that we raised. It was just an incredible experience for me, to just be with people my age, and doing something incredibly positive. And everybody in that arena, I feel like, had the same kind of thought process as I did. And so that was really cool. So my advice to anybody who is my age or younger, or, it doesn't even matter, because nobody's really ever old, outlives the opportunity to change the world. Make the conscious decision. I'm challenging anyone who watches this video to change the world. We all have the ability and capacity to do it, but you have to make the decision first. And once you do, it's kind of crazy how stuff just starts falling into place. You get a random email from somebody that opens up a door that you walk through, that you meet somebody else that gives you another door to walk through. The journey that I'm on right now is absolutely incredible. It's unexplainable. I can't even fathom the fact that all this stuff just keeps falling into my lap. It's almost like, some divine intervention type thing, or maybe my mom's helping me out, but it all started with the conscious decision, me saying to myself, I am going to change the world. And I firmly believe that. It might not be in the way that I think it's going to be, but in some way, shape, or form, this world's going to be different because of the impact that I leave on it. And everybody has the ability to do that. And what a great place, if people made that decision and acted upon that decision. We would have a lot better of a society and a place to live in. It's pretty much all I got. I'm looking at the clock. I got a 13-minute spiel, so cut it down to a minute or whatever you need. I appreciate you reaching out and asking me to help you out. I hope everything's back in PV. As you can see, I'm sitting in my dorm. But no, keep doing what you're doing at school. I follow a lot of the school or high school, my sister's friends, and it's really cool to see, the hope movement. And so just keep doing big things. If you need anything else, just let me know. Take care.